Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I'm showcasing my new release once again, which is available on Friday the 17th of May at 9 AM, maybe a little bit before if I'm organised, and you can find those at tracyevansboutiquedesigns.com. I will add the link to the videos. So I've got, and again, it's just going to be a nice simple idea. The idea this week is to inspire you so you can see what the stamps and stencils can do. So what I'm going to do is I've got a 4x6 piece of card, and I'm going to use my 6x6 stencil Wild Flower. Now you've got the actual stencil, but you've also got the cutouts as well. So you've got the cutout pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some low tack tape. Why did I keep the other piece? I did have a piece of low tack tape before. So I've got a piece of low tack tape. I can just fold it over a little bit, just to hold the floral in place. If you've got all your sprays and things, you can use your sprays. I've got far too much low tack tape here, so let's have that one there. So I'm just using my low tack tape just to sort of keep that in place. So let's use another little piece, hopefully far less than I've used there, which was just ridiculous. So we'll just have a little piece of that's much better, low tack tape here. So which way do I want that one? Let's have that at the back. I think I'm going to have to pull this one off because that's just too much low tack tape and it's too bulky. Now, if you've got your sprays, your spray adhesive, you can use those. I don't, because I don't find any need for it, but you might have that in your collection. So I'm just going to turn that over, just like so. Just add that little bit of low tack tape there. And then I can just decide on my design and where it's going, my composition. So I can place you sort of there. So I'm deciding on my composition before I actually do anything. Yes, it's a little bit fiddly with the low tack tape, but we don't mind. It's my YouTube channel, so we can faff as much as we like, can't we? So just turn that back on itself so you've got it sort of double-sided. And let's make that a little square because this is a little floral. Hang on, which way do we want it first? So let's have that. Nothing like faffing, is there really? So let's have that there, preferably with this tucked under. There we go. So I've sort of used pieces of low tack tape just to hold those in place. And what I'm going to do is just something very basic, very simple, but fun to do. So I'm going to start with my mustard seed. So I'm using the sort of openings of the Wildflower stencil and not the stencil itself, so just the cutout pieces. So I'm going to use the mustard seed first, so let's use some mustard seed and let's take a good layer of ink. So just using some kitchen roll just so I can hold things in place. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the mustard seed just in various places. Just add that, and I'm not going to, as you can see, I'm not being too specific. I'm just adding just the colour here and there. I'm then going to go to the orange. So let's just wipe off some of that yellow because I haven't got a brush for orange. I'm waiting for the brushes to come. So then I'm going to use a touch of spiced marmalade. So let's use some spiced marmalade. And we can use a little bit of spiced marmalade. It's just a little bit easier if you sort of hold some of the floral in place. So just come up here and then we can add a little bit so have we got enough? Yes, just for now we've got enough. So that's the orange, and then I'm going to go to the picked raspberry. So we'll just use a piece of cut and dry foam for the picked raspberry. So let's add a little bit of the picked raspberry. Just to our design. Don't worry about what it looks like at the moment. You're just adding some of that colour, random if you can, not too regimented. So you're just adding the colour wherever you fancy, sort of wherever you fancy. And you're just going over the florals at the moment. So then we've got our candied apple. This is where I get in a mess because I just pull every ink pad out known to man. So a little bit of candied apple. So let's take that and let's add a little bit of candied apple. And you can go out a bit further if you wish. So let's add a little bit of candied apple here and maybe go out a little further. So we've got quite a bit of candied apple on there. Let's just use our wipe just so that, you know, we don't mix the colours too much. They stay as vibrant as possible. Now I want to add a little bit more of the mustard seed. So we'll take a little bit of the mustard seed and I'm just going to sort of extend some of the colour. And then I'm going to grab the seedless preserves. So let's take the seedless preserves. And then I can bring in some of the seedless preserves. Let's add a little bit here. Don't think about it too much, just enjoy what you're doing. You know, if you fancy adding more purple, it's your card, that's absolutely fine. So now I want a little bit more pink. So the picked raspberry. So let's add some more definite pink. Because obviously the thing is, when you mix it with the yellow, you're going to end up with oranges anyway. So a little bit of the pink. And then I want a little bit of yellow here. So let's take a little bit of that mustard seed again. And you can see I've been very wary about getting the orange near the purple. So let's now grab some orange. So we just need to just wipe this up, just so that we remain clean. Let's just grab another piece of kitchen roll. So nothing complicated. And we've done this lots of times before, but it's adapting the idea so that you get a different look. So now I've got some dry kitchen roll. I'm going to use the orange. Let's see if we can get some definite orange there. There we go. Maybe a little bit of orange here, a little bit more orangey there. And then we'll go a little bit more pinky here. So a little bit more pink there. And then what you're going to do is you're then going to, let's just clean up again and just dry that. What you're going to do then is just look at your card, just look at your design and see if there is anywhere else that maybe you want, like me, a little bit more yellow, for instance, say there. Or if you want more pink in here, you want it just more of a vibrant pink, just have a look at what you've got. So let's have a little bit more seedless preserves, and you might want to bring that in here where you've got a little bit of a white area, and maybe blend a little bit more. So just so you've got that. So let's just now place all our lids on the colours. And you will find that your yellow really does add some wonderful vibrancy. And if something isn't blended, just use your yellow to blend. Right, there we go. What I'm going to do then is look for my spritzer bottle like I normally do, and then from very high up I'm just going to spritz that card. And then because we've got all that ink on there, let's grab another piece of card. There we go. Hopefully it's the same size. Let's have a look. Oh yes, same size piece of card. Oh, it's not quite, is it? Hang on a minute, I'm being particularly fussy, but it's important that I grab the right piece of card. Oh yeah, by the time I get to it, it'll have dried. So just place this piece of card on the top. You know, normally we blot with our kitchen roll, don't we? But we haven't this time, look. So if you look carefully, you've now got something that you could put some shading around, draw some lines in, and you've got your floral just as a print off here. And now we will go in with our kitchen roll and just mop up any of that excess moisture. Let's move these because it just gets where it's not much room. Let's place them on there. Can you tell I hadn't got any space to decide where? There we go. So we can lift. Well, we can't really, there we go, we've got that one. So we can take the low tack tape off that one. You can just run them under the tap. You've only used oxide, that's absolutely fine. And then this one. So let's take the low tack tape off them. We can just give them a wipe just in case I decide to use them again. But we've taken most of the ink off anyway. by taking that print. Let's use some kitchen roll. I just love how from that you can take another print and you've got sort of two images. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some text, and I'm going to add some in white, and then I'll add some in a darker colour afterwards. So I'm going to give this a little dry, and I'm giving it a little dry because it is quite wet now that I've spritzed the card, and I actually spritzed the card and then I let it sit for a little bit before I even took the print. So the water soaks through the card. So just to give it some more stability, I'm just drying that a little bit. And when you dry, you'll see there's some moisture on your non-stick craft sheet. Make sure you wipe that up so that you don't pick that up again. So let's grab some white embossing. So I've got my embossing powder. Still got my scrap of paper. So I'm taking my anti-static bag because there's lots of moisture in here. And because there's lots of moisture, it could end up sticking everywhere. So I'm just trying to avoid that. Right, let's just Versamark. Let's see if I can actually name my ink pads properly, because the other day I was getting my tongue in a twist just trying to decide what I was using. It was a miracle. So let's just move these somewhere safe, because you know in 5 minutes time I'll probably say, where are they? So then I'm going to take this stamp set background elements, and I just love the detail on this stamp. I just think it's fantastic. It's got little torn paper, it's got very fine text, it's got September, October, November, May, June, July, it's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just got a whole mix of elements. I just love that. Right, so I'm going to take the stamp, and then I'm going to take my Versamark, and I'm just going to add very small elements of this Versamark ink just to the background. Now I'm not going to squish it too much. I don't want to squish it too much. I just want some fine detail. Honestly, when I emboss that, wait till you see the fine detail. It is amazing. So we'll do that again. Just a little bit more. I love a little bit of a faff. Let's add that here. And what I'm going to do is, you'll see me place it on there. Just press once. Not pressing too hard. I'm not squishing it too much. And at first you think you've got nothing. But I don't know whether you can... Oh, yes. Just a delightful, delightful stamp. And one that doesn't date. I like something that doesn't date. And you can use whatever year or century it is, or you can just drop it onto the card, whatever year it is. And you don't worry if you dropped your stamp, because if you don't want some embossing somewhere, well, you can just brush that off. It's not a problem. I've got 3 little bits of embossing there. So we'll have a look at what that looks like. Let's move everything out of the way so we don't affect anything by our heat tool. And we'll just heat our heat tool up. There we go, nice and hot. Just lift that up so I can see what we've got. There we go, that's starting to go. And you will see just the beautiful fine detail on this stamp. Once I move it and lift it up to the camera, you will just see how fine the detail is. And you know when you just want a little something in the background, but you don't want it to overpower everything else? This is that stamp. There we go. Now, if I just stand up, and depending how much you have pressed it, my camera can't even focus, it's that fine. Look at that fine detail. Just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning that stamp is, even if I say so myself. So, what I'm going to do then is take the same stamp. I'm going to use my Morning Mist, take a little bit, and I'm going to add my Morning Mist and just add, I'm just going to tap it like that and just add some delicate text in the Morning Mist. So I'm literally taking the stamp, place it down, not even touching it, and then literally just tap it. Stunning. Maybe a little bit less of that one. So then let's add, so place it down, just touch it, and it just looks stunning. Look at the fine detail. Adore that. Right, so what I was thinking was, let me just, on stamp set The Wonder of Nature, we've got our wheelbarrow. Now the wheelbarrow, obviously I designed it so that you could add things inside the wheelbarrow, but it doesn't always have to have something inside it. It can stand alone, which is what I want on here. But I've embossed there because I'm such a drip. Should have left that, but we'll bring it so it's sort of coming off the page. So we'll just take our acrylic block and we'll use our black ink because I want that to stand bold and stand proud. So just making sure I've got plenty of ink, mainly because I've got those rich oxide inks on there. So I'm going to aim, let's bring it in a bit. There we go, so that it's just sort of coming in on the card. And I'm just holding it with one finger, and I can just press with one finger. Obviously this bit here is going to go onto my non-stick craft sheet. So just give that time. And I'm giving it a little bit longer, mainly because it's like a silhouette stamp and it's going onto those oxide inks. Now, when your stamp sticks to the card a little bit, it's just because it's new. It's got a little bit of stickiness, which is present during the manufacturing process. That soon wears off. So by now you will know that that black ink will just be resting on there. It needs drying and blotting. So we'll just give that a blot. It's not too much ink on there actually. Let's give that a little bit of a dry. So the idea of the wheelbarrow is it can stand alone as well. It doesn't always have to have something in the wheelbarrow. I have in my other projects, I've put something in the wheelbarrow, but it doesn't have to. But just look at that. You know, a little stencil, and it's just wonderful. We will add some white touches to that, but then let's place the wheelbarrow back. And there's a perfect sentiment. Just got to remember which one it's on. Is it this one? No, I don't think it's that one. But there's a perfect sentiment. I'll show it you. So, we've used our wheelbarrow, which is from The Wonder of Nature, TE14. It's got some lovely sentiments in there. And then, where's the one? Oh, yes. Then, I want to use this stamp set here, Shadowed Elements. And it's got a little bird on there. Here, little tiny ones. I've got ink all over my hands. Now I've put it on my card. This is why I always say to you, make sure, just because I picked that stamp up, that your hands are nice and clean. It's got these little birds on here that coordinate with previous releases, so that we've got tiny birds that we can use with the branched heart TE6. But what I've done with mine is I've cut mine out, because I always try and get extras on the stamp. You don't have to cut yours out, but I have. But I'm always pushing my luck by putting more and more on the stamp. So I've got this little bird here, and the idea is it can be used with the branched heart and with the other elements, but now we can show that the wheelbarrow doesn't have to have something in it. It can also have our little bird on there, so you can perch things on the wheelbarrow, not necessarily just in the wheelbarrow. So we've got our little bird perched on the wheelbarrow, and then we'll have another little bird. There we go. And then we can have that one just there. And you can see I just hold it in place, mainly because it's on that oxide ink, just to give it a little bit of time. And what's wonderful is you stamp and it sort of goes underneath the embossing. It's just wonderful, just so you can see that. So you can perch things on the wheelbarrow, not just in. So let's make sure those hands are clean. Let's just waft that dry. I know we've got that embossing there, and we won't waft it dry too much. And we'll just do from this side as well, just so that we straighten our card out. And what we will do then is just to add some of our touches of white. So let's picking everything up here. So we'll just add, where's my piece of, I've got pieces of scrap, this, that and the other everywhere. So I'm just going to add some sort of touches of white just here and there on the wheelbarrow, just so that that stands out nicely. And then we'll just add a little couple of touches to our bird, just so that you can see that. Doesn't it look lovely with just the wheelbarrow coming in from the side? You don't have to use the whole of everything. Now, what you need to do then is decide whether, do you know, I don't know whether I do, whether I want to just keep it like that. Do you know, sometimes it's knowing when not to add extra, because initially my idea was you'd got this black wheelbarrow and I was going to add a black floral, but you know, I don't think I want to, because I just love it like this. So I'm just going to add a little bit of shading just down the edges of some of the florals. We'll go our view down here. So a little bit. Just a little bit there. And then we'll grab our water brush. I dread when I say this because I know that when I use the water brush, I just dump it anywhere. And I shouldn't do that. Right, so we'll take our water brush. Now, I'm aware there's oxide inks on there, so I'll make sure not to use too much water. And we'll just add a little bit of shading just to make that sing a little bit more. I've missed that little bit there, and we'll just, there we go. And you know me by now, I love to faff a little bit. Just adding a little bit. So I'm hardly touching the card so that I don't activate too much of that oxide, and I literally just touch the shading a little bit. And you can give that a little bit of rest time just so that we could go in again, and you can just touch again with your Inktense pencil. And because there's moisture in the card, it will sort of automatically get a little bit darker. Oh, how I love a little faff, and it just gives it a little bit of a shadow. Now we want a little bit of a sort of grounding. We want to make sure that it gets a little bit of grounding. And can you see I'm hardly touching that, just so that there's a little bit of grounding on there. And then we'll add our white splatters. Let's move everything out of the way. So we'll add our white splatters, and I'll show you the perfect sentiment. Well, there is a couple actually. There we go. Now you need to use your bleed proof white if you don't want it to take on the colour of the oxides. Now where's the one where I know it's got the perfect sentiment? There it is. This one. I haven't even put this inside. It's on top of the packaging. That's hilarious. So let's just put that Delight in Nature back on there. But also on here, I've got one. Yeah. So on this packaging here, TE14, I've got Create Your Own Rainbow. I love that one. And on this one, perfect sentiment is A Quiet Place. And I always think, you know, sitting in my garden, wheelbarrow, florals, you're just sitting there contemplating. It's a nice, quiet place. And it doesn't need to say much else. I'm sure I had a spare piece of card. What did I do with it? Nobody knows. How many spare pieces of card does one person need? Right, that's got a bit of a background on it, but there you go. So we'll stamp A Quiet Place. Again, it really doesn't need pressing. And I'll just place that back because I know exactly what I'm like. Just cut that out. Doesn't the time go quick? I've actually got a background on here. I don't know whether you can see it. I think every piece of card I've got has got some piece of background on, and I'm making it very awkward for myself by trying not to cut that background. It's nothing like making it difficult for yourself. Now, what you need to decide now is whether you want to add a faux black mat or some shading. I think I'm going to add a faux black mat. Let's grab this copy of paper. Just tilt that pen back slightly. Make sure the paint is flowing from your Posca pen. Makes it far easier. And you can just sort of give that a couple of seconds just to dry. We'll add a quiet place. I just think that is the perfect sentiment. Doesn't need to say anything else. So a quiet place. Just there. And I'll give that a few seconds before I try and add the shading. So what I'll do whilst I'm waiting, I will add this to the black mat, which will really make that sing. So let's add this to here. There we go. And again, I'm lifting that up just so that I can make sure it makes, and when you see me bend it a little bit, it's so that the card here makes good contact at the back. You know where I've added the adhesive, so I really should just turn it over and do that. There we go, that's stuck really nicely. There we go, lovely. We'll add that to a 5x7 card blank. Like so. And add this onto our card blank. Like so. I do spend a lot of time moving it. There we go. So then, now that that adhesive has dried a little bit, we'll add a little bit of shading to the bottom. Let's see if there's enough moisture in my brush. Just to blend that out. And I think that is a lovely, simple idea, but I absolutely adore that. Absolutely love it. I just think it's beautiful. I just love that. But what you could do then, so let's just move that onto one side. What you could do then is pick up your florals, which is easier said than done, trust me. So say we want one so if I add that, I could add more florals if I wanted to this, because what I could do is just take my inks so they're a little bit darker, so the yellow, a little bit of the orange. So I'm just adding the ink direct to the little cutout piece. So the yellow. Then I could use a little bit of the pink. I'm just thinking, you know, if we can sort of reuse this. And then a little bit of the seedless preserves. Like so. Let's add a little bit more pink to the edge. So I'm thinking this will be a little bit darker now. So let's just pick all this colour up. Now, obviously, I could just sit it there and then press the card onto it. I'm not going to do that because I want it in an exact place. So I'm just going to spritz it with water just off camera. I'm going to pick that up and place that exactly where I want it. Try and find a piece of dry kitchen roll and just let that rest on the card. At the end of the day, this was just the mop up that we mopped up the rest of the colour from the card that we've made. So it doesn't matter if we don't like it. Wonderful. Just wonderful. So shall we just spritz it lightly again? And shall we add this here? And let's use the dry piece of kitchen roll again. So we're making something out of nothing now. Lift that up again. Oh yes, I'm loving this. So we do one of the other flowers now because I'm addicted. This is what happens with me. I start a video and I say, oh, it's going to be a quick video. I'm hopeless. It's never a quick video. Right. So just up there. So that way. So then I'm going to do the same again. Let's add a little bit of the yellow. Let's add lots of pink this time, which will give some of the orange as well, because when the yellow and the pink mix. And then a tiny bit of the purple. Then we'll go back and add a little bit more of the yellow. And we won't bother doing the stem. What a drip. So a little bit of the stem. Let's add a little bit of purple to the stem. Pick that up. Clean our surface again. Can you tell that I think my wipe has just passed its best? So's the kitchen roll, but there you go. So we've got this, and then we'll just give that a spritz off camera. Have we got water? Yes, we have. Couldn't see whether I'd got any water on there. So I can just hold that. Place that on there. And then that kitchen roll is completely soaking wet. And we'll use this piece of kitchen roll. So we're literally making something out of nothing. We'll lift that up. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love this. So we'll just spritz that with a bit more water. And we'll just add a little bit of the floral here. I love the fact that the others are sort of in the background because we picked them up as the second generation print. And then we've added these as some more in the foreground. Just look at this. Look, look, look. Oh, I love it. Right, now I've got to do it again now. So I want one. Shall we have one going a different way? So let's do this side now. So let's have some of the yellow again. Little bit of the pink, which I'll just flick all over the place. Then we'll get that seedless preserves. Like so. Then we'll grab the same piece of wipe that's already covered in everything. And then we'll give this a spritz with water. 1 spritz I've given that. And let's place that down here. Getting desperate for kitchen roll now. And let's just allow that just to sit on there a little bit. Look how it's, because there's more ink and I've spritzed with water, this is really oxidizing. I'll lift it up so that you can see. Let me lift this up. The hardest bit is actually getting it off the card when you've got long nails like me. I could just use me scissors. That's it. And then drop it. Oh, love it, love it, love it. That's all I need now. So let's just give this a little bit of a clean. Don't know where the other flowers have gone. They were somewhere on my desk. But look at that. Can you see how this is oxidizing as it dries? Isn't that lovely? Just made from nothing. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love that. And it's made from nothing. And what I can do is we'll do a final one and we can cut that out and add it as dimension at the top. But in the meantime, let's add a bit more because I'm just enjoying myself too much. I haven't even got a card blank cut out for this. What am I like? That's because I didn't plan to do this. So we've got the VersaFine again. And let's add a little bit of that VersaFine. And I'm just going to, like I've done before, place it on there and just lightly press once. That's all I'm going to do. Look at this. Look how it pushes the florals back. Oh, I'm so happy with that. Absolutely love it. So then, oh, it's like the thread, or I don't know where the threads come from. So again, take the stamp, which is this one, TE11. Take the stamp, place it on your card, so you've got it in place. Press once, lift it off. Fantastic. Just adore that. Absolutely adore that. Right. So we need to decide now which floral we're going to cut out in 3D. I think it's going to be this one. So let's grab another piece of white card, which I don't have. I keep saying this, let's just grab another piece. This is how happy accidents happen. So let's take the yellow again. So yellow, let's add some yellow to the stem. Let's take a nice dollop of pink, which will grab, it'll make it into some orange as well as we spritz it. And then let's take some seedless preserves just on there. just think we should treat ourselves to a clean wipe. What I love is as well, I haven't got to race, have I? Because these are reactive to water and I can do this at any time. I'm not having to rush. Now, if you didn't want to wipe them colours up, obviously you could quite easily just create another background, but I don't want to keep you here for forever, because I will do. So I've spritzed that twice with water. We're then going to place this down. And you're going to press quite hard on this one because you want a nice print with this. Can you see how long I'm giving this one? Now let's lift that up. Oh, how fantastic. Now you can make a second print if you wish. I'm not going to. Or I could keep you here all week. Trust me, it's possible with me. Let me just use that clean white because I've got every colour under the sun on my fingers. So let's just cut this out. Let's cut this out. Just look at the colours on that. Fantastic. Now you see, I'll show you one of, can you see here how the stem's open? You could even stamp something into that stem, couldn't you? Quite easily. This is how ideas flow. So we're going to cut this one out. And look, this is a piece that we've made from the leftovers. Just going to leave a little bit of a white border, and it's not complicated to cut out. And look, I've shown you, even if you don't like cutting out, I've shown you the card without one bit cut out. So let's just go round just like this. I've just nearly cut my nail then. Look, so we've got our floral here, and what I was thinking was, what, have I put that sentiment back? I think I have. But let's have a look at this one again where it says delight in nature. So delight in nature. I am so hot, I can't tell you. I think it's because I'm excited. There we go. That's it. No, not grey. I always pick up the wrong colour. Pick up the black ink. It would have been better if it was still in the card rather than me cutting it out. It'd be far easier for you. So I don't need to press. But you can see I haven't got the delight, but I've got nature just on there. So you could have the delight in nature, but if you leave it in the card, it's a lot easier to stamp because you're not trying to aim while it's moving. But I've still got in nature there, which is lovely. And then we'll take a little bit of this text. Let's make sure we get the grey ink. Use the grey ink onto the floral. Rest it on there. Press once, lift it off. Just look at that. Isn't that, I think that's wonderful. Oh, I just love creating. Right, so now we could add this wherever we want, and we're going to make it so it's dimensional. And I haven't got that glue. So I've got my pin flare and we've got our adhesive. So we'll just add some adhesive just going down the stem. Then we'll add a little bit of the pin flare, just a nice dollop, so that that is going to have some 3D element. Just bend the edge. It's got a little bit more life then. Just gives a little bit of depth. Now, if you like the, crikey, Delight in Nature, where have you gone again? How many times am I going to pick the sentiment up and put it back down again? Can you tell me? So we've got the Delight in Nature. Let's take this piece of card. It doesn't need me. I've done it in grey again. What did I say to you? Watch which ink you're using. So just use the black ink for the sentiment. Delight in Nature. Let's grab the scissors again. And we can still pretend it's the stem. Get right close to the edge. You can't get closer than that, Tracy. Right, and then let's take a little bit of the Distress Oxide picked raspberry. And I can't hold it because it's so thin. I like to make it as awkward as possible. And just add a little bit of pink down here. There we go. I'm enjoying myself too much. Now you can add these to your journal if you wish, and you can look back on them. So then I can add the Delight in Nature on my stem like I wanted before, but I missed because it was cut out and I made it difficult for myself instead of leaving it in the card. But I've now got that Delight in Nature on the stem. And then I think I should give this a sharpen to make it easier. Let's give that a sharpen. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shading just under the floral. And again, like I've done before, not touch the card too much with too much moisture, although there's more open space on this. Just give this a little bit more shading, just so that that's it, it looks a little bit more shaded. And then, of course, I always want to add a white touch after I've put them on the card, and really you should be doing it before. But I'm too engrossed and too excited. So let's just add a few little touches of white. Shall we add some splatters as well? Like so. Especially on the sort of florals. Let's just... Do you know, it brings me so much pleasure to create something out of what was leftovers. It just brings me a great deal of pleasure. Where's the... And I'm going to faff as long as it takes me, because I'm going to have to do another one. Sorry, but I am going to have to do another one. Right, so I'm going to add the yellow. The yellow. Plenty of the pink again. Plenty of the pink. And then we'll add, let's just clean some of that up. My wipes are made out of water, and that's why they're so wet. Right, let's then add seedless preserves. There we go. My desk is in such a mess now because I hadn't planned on doing any of this. So then going to give that a spritz with water, which you're well aware of now. Yes, I've got water on there. I have to look closely to see if I've got water on there. Now, I don't need it too long, so there's absolutely fine. I've got no kitchen roll whatsoever apart from grubby kitchen roll. There's even a bit of glue on the side of my page. And just giving that, let's move that glue while we remember. Just giving that a couple of seconds just to really sort of grab onto that card. Just lift that off. Oh, just adore this. Right. Oh, Tracy, you're going to have to tidy up a bit. You'll never find anything. Like the scissors. Where have they gone? Your guess is as good as mine. What did you do with the scissors? This is why you shouldn't get too excited, because then you can't find anything. Oh, my little scissors. I bet you're all screaming at the thingy going, they're just there. There they are, behind the ink pads. Of course they're behind the ink pads. Where else would you expect them to be? So just again leaving that bit of that white space. I was getting engrossed there, and sometimes I forget to speak because I'm in my own little world, getting all excited because I've made a card out of waste that was never going to be made anyway. There we go. Let's just bring that down. A little bit of text again. So we'll take that grey, that morning mist. This is morning mist, isn't it? Yes. And then again, place it on the floral. Don't touch it. Press lightly, lift. Just gorgeous. So I'm thinking I just want this one there. So a little bit of adhesive just on the stem. Obviously I will need to trim that. A little bit more pin flare. Or your 3D foam pads, whichever you prefer to use. I'm getting bits of glue off that everywhere. So I'm just going to faff like anything, just to add, just give that a couple of seconds for this to grab hold, or I won't, and I'll just hold it, and then we'll just trim that off. Then add a little bit of shading just around that floral, like so. Might be enough water on there, just like I thought, but maybe just a little bit more to rinse the brush. And add a little bit more. Sort of drag it out to nothing. just so that you've got that shadow on there. And then let's add a few more splatters so that this floral is included. Or not. Don't press your Posca pen down too hard. You don't want to break the nib. You just want to get a few of those splatters out. There's none on that one. There we go. I don't know why I'm bothering with this white for, because all I'm doing is smearing colour all over the place. But you can see this is just made from nothing really. But the minute, please tell me I've got a black mat somewhere. No, that's square. Every piece I pick up is not the right piece. And I know there's a black mat in there somewhere. Oh, you can't make it up, can you? I'm absolutely positive I had another black mat. Oh, come on. No, I haven't got the right size black mat. And you'll forgive me if I cut one, won't you? Bear with me. Because I like you to see the cards finished. So just let me cut a black mat. So I hope you're singing to yourself while I just cut a card blank as well. There we go. So then I can sort of show you the card finished. So we can add that to our black mat. And it'll just pop a little bit more. Just so you can see that. Just pick that up as I always do, just to move that a little bit. Then I'll add that to my white card blank. It's sometimes better to put a piece of copier paper onto your desk that is clean, just to place your white card onto, just so that you don't get any dirty marks on your card. Like so. I love a little bit of a faff. And then we can just add a little bit of white just here and there. And then you've got a card just from nothing. You could add a little bird if you wish. It's entirely up to you whether you add a little bird, but that was created from that. And I just think it just works so well, and I love the wheelbarrow. So I hope you've enjoyed that demonstration, and I hope you like the new products as much as I do, and I will be back soon to create more projects for you. So love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.